good morning, fellow Ambazonians, wherever you may be. Today, now Wednesday, number 7 day for this month of September 2022. My name na Capo Daniel, the spokesman of the Ambazonian Governing Council. I don't come today for una forgive una update for this big victory way Ambazonia idan get them against La République du Cameroon as our school them. They don't open their door for this September period for this school year for 2022 to 2023, where it don't start actively for this September. It don't be less than 2 weeks ago. We will come for una give a presentation where it be made by the colonialist administration for Yaoundé, led by the mad dog Paul Biya. The Paul Biya, a lapdog and a spokesperson, hail from Ambazonia, Chief Ndiangote, when a chief terrorist, vampire, one of those people the way they been enablers of this genocide and the enabling of Cameroon recolonization of our territory. Ndiangote, he don't come address our people for our own language, for pidgin English, and he makes statements and way talk say Ambazonian fighting, it don't be give up by our population. He also makes statement where he talk say over 200 new schools and for inside Ambazonia they don't be opened up by Cameroon state. These statements them it don't be proven for be wrong and for be a misinformation. It show how Yaoundé, the colonial capital, it don't be out of touch with the reality where they go in for Ambazonia. We don't do a lot of presentation about that. For sure, una the facts for the ground has to be different from the propaganda of La République du Cameroon. So today, ladies and gentlemen, Ambazonians all over the world, thank you for bringing me into your house through the ACN television, and for those who did watch me for their mobile devices on YouTube, for ACN channel and for my personal channel, Capo Daniel. Please subscribe to get latest information from Ambazonia and latest updates that are verified and that are factual, that are substantiated on our YouTube channels on the ACN and my YouTube channel and the YouTube channel of our press secretary, Mr. Lucas Asu. All of una be highly welcome. So today we will go directly for this program. We will start for give una the sequence them for events the way that happen for this big victory where we celebrate them for inside Ambazonia. For this time, for these 5 years, for our struggle for decolonization, our struggle to end Cameroon rule and dominion and subjugation of our territory, would then the push for military resistance in addition to the collective resistance where our population did show them through the use of ghost town, the use of school boycott, and etc. to fight against this Cameroon colonialism. Would then succeed, and this time for this school opening, the whole war it then observe, especially as the United Nations they approach their General Assembly, and our international partners them also they observe following Emmanuel Macron a visit for La République du Cameroon, and we know for sure from the indication where the French government they don't provide them information where they get them for their members of parliament. It shows say the French government they don't tell Biya the truth, say you cannot continue to persecute this genocidal war against Ambazonia. You have to accept the reality. You have to go to negotiate and solve this problem on the negotiation table rather than on the battlefield. And as we promise Ambazonians, then we will deliver a military victory over the Republic of Cameroon, because no country in ever lose a war for decolonization. Whether not for Eritrea, Southern Sudan, whatever territory that ever exists for this war, even the Americans and the Brits, they don't all win the war for decolonize their territory, and Ambazonia is not going to be any different. So if Cameroon government they not wise up today, eventually they will come for the same conclusion. They cannot win Ambazonian nationalism through war, and we will prevail. So ladies and gentlemen, within this past week, the Cameroon state they don't make the case. Say they don't open 20 new school them for inside Ambazonia for Cameroon government schools, or schools where they go open with Cameroon guidelines and Cameroon instructions. Without proof for una say it be wrong. Behind the scene, the Cameroon government they target all Ambazonian community schools. That means say the schools they will open them, and the religious institution, their schools and where they open under our authority and under our strict guidelines, where it be meant to uphold Ambazonian nationalism and a spirit of patriotism during this period of war. Some of those conditions and for those schools them include schools and be forbidden for use school uniforms and forbidden for walk to school with school uniforms, for Cameroon national anthem for be banned, and for Cameroon history for be banned for being taught in our school, and also for consider the adaptation of our curriculum, Ambazonian indigenous curriculum. We don't work so hard for the past 3 years for plant the seed of community schools. Those community schools that don't come to age and in maturity, and today we see the fruit of our labor. We see say we don't reverse the trend of Ambazonian picking them where they be the enter for La Republic to Cameroon for study during this period of time. For the past 3 years, it began be humiliating for us Ambazonians. For see say in the beginning of September, at the end of August, our picking they start load motor them for enter for La Republic for go study. We don't reverse that trend. And if you tell una Ambazonian people, they say this year we don't notice a significant drop of Ambazonian travel into La Republic during the last quarter of August and in the beginning of September. For whatever reason, that train have been returned, and that is big victory for Ambazonia. So this Monday, we don't show for Ambazonia, say we are in control, Ambazonia is in control, and La Republique du Cameroon have been defeated. Even though the Cameroon government tries to portray to the world that they are in charge, they are not in charge. They have tried to portray to the world that the Cameroon government will open schools in Ambazonia and life will go on under Cameroon control, and we have proven to them that it is not the case. So all over Ambazonian national territory, in our liberated areas, life are going on under Ambazonian control. These areas we have defeated Cameroon, and Cameroon do not have any significant administrative presence. We have seen Cameroon military opening Cameroon military schools in Cambe without any teachers. We have seen Cameroon military collecting tax from the documents our forces recovered from an operation in the great state of Bui, in Dongamantung, in Wat, last week. So we can assure the international community that Cameroon have been defeated. Cameroon do not rule Ambazonia. They don't have administrators anymore in over 80% of our territory. And in the areas where they control the 20% that are in contestation, our population are in line with our instruction and our rule reign in Ambazonia. So this week, we have seen that the Cameroon government have deliberately, and this is a warning to the Cameroon government and an indication to the international community, the Cameroon government attempt to use their influencers with bribery and corruption to corrupt some Ambazonian groups, to use them against our own people, to violate the human rights of our own people, to promote kidnapping for ransom and targeted killing by our own people for political reasons, to sabotage Ambazonian independence. Is a war crime. It's a war crime. And we have seen that today in Kumbaboya Road. We'll get to that later. But first of all, let me present to you the big victory of Ambazonia over Cameroon. On Monday, this Monday, across our national territory, from Boya to Victoria, Mutengene, Kumba, we have seen the whole Ambazonian come to stand still to observe the Monday Ghost Town, which we have called as a means for our population to demonstrate their desire for separation from Cameroon and their will to fight and resist Cameroon rule for nothing other than the complete decolonization of Ambazonia and our independence. It has been widely reported in the media, as you can see here on my screen. These are reports coming from Mimi Mefo showing Victoria and Boya completely closed on Ghost Town. Not even the colonial administrators could venture at work. Diongote have come to tell the Ambazonian people that the struggle have failed. But this is it. These are evidence of popular support, popular backing for separation. It will not stop. It will only intensify. And our vanguards, the Ambazonian forces, will only continue to carry out more brazen liberation attack against the Cameroon occupation forces. So on Monday, we saw that the whole Ambazonian they stayed at home to observe the ghost town just as we have instructed. Everywhere in Ambazonia, in Boya, in Victoria, even with the massive Cameroon military presence in Victoria, the people stayed at home. They closed their shop, taxi parked on the street, Bensikin, they stopped to observe the Independent Day ghost town in Boya, in Kumba, in Manfe, everywhere in Ambazonia, to show the world that our people are resilient and they want decolonization and they want an end to Cameroon rule in Ambazonia. And we had also told our people to go to school, to our community schools that we have approved. There are schools that are owned by private proprietors, schools that are owned by religious institutions that we have authorized and provided guidelines for our schools to open as Ambazonian community schools. The Cameroon government have resisted. The Cameroon government have threatened them and asked all Catholic schools, all Presbyterian schools, and all Baptist schools, and all private schools in Ambazonia who did not adhere to their standard, which includes students going to school with uniforms, students singing their national anthem, students not allowed to express their Ambazonian nationalism, and the teaching of Cameroon history. All our community schools, including the Presbyterian, the Baptist, and the Catholic schools, have rejected this Cameroon suggestion and Cameroon guidelines because Cameroon have lost legitimacy. Cameroon cannot provide security. Cameroon do not have administration in over 80% of our land. Cameroon have been defeated, and nobody in Ambazonia should be receiving instruction and guidelines from La République du Cameroon. They have been rejected completely. So as we have called for our community school to start this 6th of September, as our people have returned back home to go back to school, as Cameroon business that have been tailor-made, the Bamilekes who have also been marginalized, their houses that were built to accommodate Ambazonian refugees, to accommodate Ambazonian schools, as investment for their own people, as these ventures are failing, the Cameroon government, they try to sabotage our school opening by promoting and using their minders and embedded agents to instigate some Ambazonian groups with faceless people to declare a counterproductive lockdown in our territory. This lockdown have been rejected by our people. Our people have stood with our instructions and they have opened their door. So we have seen in Bamenda, I will play videos across our territory to show you the assessment. Our Bamenda, the capital city of resistance, was open. But before that, let me take you to Kumba. You have a GHS Kumba in Beng. Was completely closed. The Cameroon government schools were all closed in Ambazonia.
Kumbambe, no soul can be found. This is the administrative office. It's still closed. You can see the campus is empty. Empty, empty, empty. Everywhere is closed. This is a staff room. Nobody can be seen. Okay.
So this is a Cameroon government school in the Atlantic state in Kumba. Completely closed. No student have attended Cameroon government schools as instructed by Diangote, the Cameroon colonial prime minister. The Cameroon schools, even in Bamenda, let me take an example, the one in Bamenda. This is GBHS downtown Bamenda. There were, for the whole day, we have our people of our transitional authority monitor the school. The Cameroon government stopped civilian taxis and Bensikin from approaching this school, which is heavily militarized. If you look at that picture, at the top of that picture in the middle, you see a Cameroon gendarmes. They are stationed there, their base is there. The Cameroon government brought in less than 100 students in GB downtown. So they have been defeated. These are schools who used to host thousands of people. Last year, the numbers were close to over 700. That comes primarily from upstation, where you have military family members of La République du Cameroon attending school. So in Bamenda, without any lockdown, we have stopped Cameroon government school. They have asked the people in their government schools in Atiela across Bamenda town to assemble and attend school here in GB downtown Bamenda. It was a failure. Our people have rejected Cameroon. They did not turn out for Cameroon government schools, both in Atlantic State and in Savannah State. In Atlantic State, it was even worse. The only pocket of Cameroon manipulation and propaganda was in Cambe, where we know the B is in charge. and you have Gala Gerard and his family members who could project this propaganda of Cameroon. But for the most part, over 99% of our territory, all Cameroon government schools have been shut and have been banned. Our citizens have been cautioned against participating in this colonial and alien institution all over our territory. Our people have rejected Cameroon. On the other side, over our guidelines, under our instruction, Ambazonian was open for the school opening on the 6th of September. These are video footages of all community schools in the capital city of Bamenda, the capital of our resistance, that were open. You can see this is Our Lady of Lords, and you go down. This is Big Mancon. This Big Mancon. These are all community schools. All of them have been opened. You go down to GBHS. This is a progressive school, the biggest school in Bamenda, private school. This is community school. You can see their students, they came to school without uniforms. Our taxis, they were functioning. They all come to school without uniform, following our guidelines. All our community schools were open, following our guidelines. From there, I can take you to the other places through video calls. This is Rosemary Primary and Secondary School. It was open. Teachers were there. Our community schools were there. Students were there. As you can see, kids were coming to school there without their uniforms, following our guidelines to attend their community school. So these are video footages all over Ambazonia, of Ambazonia Community School, kicking on under our instruction in full gear. So Ambazonia community schools have started effectively. On the contrary, the Cameroon government, in an attempt to sabotage Cameroon government, Ambazonian community schools and schools going on over our guidelines, they deploy their heavy military vehicles in the center city of Bamenda. I think you can remember this tank, this so-called tank that were brought into Ambazonia a couple of years last year by Betty Asomo, the terrorist Betty Asomo, who promised to change the game by deploying this military equipment in Bamenda. There are 4 of them stationed up station in their camp and their military barracks in Bamenda. They claim, just like they are claiming now, that it was a special operation, special forces coming to Bamenda, they are going to change game. And we have not seen these vehicles being deployed across Ambazonia. But yesterday, the 6th of this month, in an attempt to enforce the lockdown that have been instigated by Atanganji Paul, Cameroon deployed these vehicles and its military, its regular army, on our streets in Bamenda to intimidate our people. But our people demonstrated boldness. They demonstrated common sense to stand up against these bullying tactics, and they opened their shop. We have also received images that 2 of our civilians were shot dead in Kwen, around my 4. We are not certain if these actions were carried out by Ambazonian forces that have been influenced by the Cameroon intelligence services and some of their operatives who operate right there in Kondengi to manipulate our soldiers. We cannot confirm, but we also have seen video footages of Bafut 7 Qatar special squad unit that also came from there, claiming they had an operation there. So we know that 2 of our civilians were killed in my 4 by suspected rogue Ambazonian forces that are influenced by Tanganji Paul. We will get the facts and we are going to report to you. But these actions do not represent Ambazonia. Our people will and are going to Ambazonian school. Cameroon have failed to portray to the world that Ambazonian are fighting a cause where there is no reason, that our people are against education, and they seek to show this and demonstrate this by using dark forces in Ambazonia to stop all schools. That Ambazonia have rejected, that Ambazonia have followed our instructions and guidelines to open community schools across our national territory. Now, there are some concerns amongst the governing council and amongst patriotic Ambazonia that in winning this battle against Cameroon, we may lose our own, a very important tool that is the use of lockdown to fight against colonialism. That is not correct. Our assessment by our intelligence unit have demonstrated that the fact that our people have observed this ghost town on the 5th of this September in a very significant way in Douala, in Victoria, in Boya, in Kumba, across Ambazonian territory, there was massive and deliberate observation of the ghost town on Monday. Is indicative of the knowledge of Ambazonia, the evolution of the Ambazonian man and the common Ambazonian to understand the politics of the day and the thinking of the day. This demonstration should reassure all Ambazonians that we can still use the tool of lockdown when it is necessary and when it is appropriate to give us independence, not recklessly. So they should be rest assured. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you people also to an incident that have been reported in Kumbaboya Road. In Kumbaboya Road, in particularly in Ekona, we have had video footages of a vehicle that live shot have been used and civilians have been killed. This incident is under investigation. We have deployed our forces to investigate this matter. Our initial assessment will be kept on hold. Once we have the full picture, we are going to give to you. But for our international audience and our people and all our Amazonians across the globe, we have an initial reaction which I'm going to give after this video. So let's watch the video together. That is coming in from Ekona, Kumbaboya Road, where a civilian vehicle have been attacked. So this is a vehicle a video that have been presented to the public, possibly by the Cameroon occupation forces. The video shows a civilian vehicle that was attacked in Boyakumba Road, particularly in Ekona, with civilians dead, shot with live bullet. They are claiming in this video that this operation was done by Ambazonian forces. We are investigating this incident and we will give you detailed report and accountability for these actions. This is what we know. This area have been controlled by General Lucifer, a dark force that have been used by Sako to attack Ambazonian community in order to sabotage legitimate actions in favor of their Swiss thing going on there. But we do not know for sure that this is the case. The people who were some of the civilians who were witness to this attack have reached out to my office for us, the governing council. We have received their report. According to their account, they are claiming that this attack was done by Ambazonian forces in that area, possibly the same people we have seen in that area who have targeted civilians, especially General Lucifer. But we cannot independently confirm at this moment. We have passed this information to our transitional authority in Ekona and our forces in Ekona to investigate. We will bring you the report. We condemn these actions that targets our civilians. We condemn the use of lethal force against our civilians in the name of enforcing a lockdown that is counterproductive in the first place. Any Ambazonian force that use lethal force that execute our civilians for disrespecting any law will be committing a crime against Ambazonia and will be held accountable. The Ambazonian Governing Council condemns this attack against our civilians and condemns the attack in Bamenda, my four, against our civilians. For whatever reason, it is not acceptable. Our code of conduct that we have put out and we have asked all Ambazonian forces to adopt prescribe proportional use of force. Live bullets cannot be used against civilians who have no military connections, who are unarmed. We have prescribed that at certain extreme case, corporal punishment can be used. Properties can be seized or may be destroyed based on the circumstances and the gravity of the crimes or the suspected crimes that are involved. No force should ever use disproportionate force against our people. We have warned the other factions of Ambazonia, including the IG, in particularly the IG, which have been ambiguous in terms of their policy to education. Last year, we had an incident in Boya where our brilliant and brave forces of the Mountain Lions, they went to disperse and stop a Cameroon government school that was running illegally in Ambazonia. Students were humiliated, their girls were put exposed, their breasts were exposed, they were naked. And I spoke to the mission commander of the Mountain Lions and that particular incident. And he told me that the soldiers wanted to kill those students, but he refused. And thank God he did refuse. And we advised him about the principle of the proportional use of force, that at no point should our girls, students, be humiliated and their body, their nakedness exposed on social media as a result of them violating such laws. In this type of incidents, those schools can be closed by the teachers being arrested and the proprietors being arrested, and the family members maybe being charged some cost, and students can be given corporal punishment that are reasonable. And they understood us, and we thank the Mountain Lions for being reasonable and to always engage us with communication in this regard. In the other hand, we have seen General Lucifer, who received direct instructions from Sako Ekome, that have used disproportionate force, using live bullet on civilians that he has arrested in the name of IG lockdown. Previously, some of them were shot. Civilians in that particular stretch of road have been shot dead. We are warning the Ambazonian people who support the IG and their members that they might be committing crimes, war crimes, in their cause of persecuting this war. Crimes against Ambazonia are counterproductive. The use of disproportionate force are not acceptable, and the leaders of the IG have a responsibility to denounce these attacks and killings against our people. Without them doing so, it is considered as their policy against our people. And these are criminal activities that will never be accepted by our people, do not represent our people and the conduct of our forces. The Ambazonian Defense Forces and the Governing Council condemns these actions and call on all forces to use proportional force when enforcing Ambazonian laws. It is important for those laws to be enforced, but proportional force must be used. Proportionality must be used. We also condemn the use of unreasonable imposition of lockdown by some Ambazonian factions for political reasons, as we have seen around our country. We have seen these people given unjustifiable punishment on our people by the use of excessive lockdown. It is not acceptable. We have also condemned the Cameroon government, whose intelligence wing is directly involved and implicated in the activities of these rook forces that are being influenced by Cameroon minders. These forces do not have any political leadership or any command and control. They are being exploited. This loophole is being exploited by the Cameroon state to commit war crimes in Ambazonia using Ambazonians. This should stop. And any force in ground zero that have come out to enforce unreasonable, unjustifiable lockdown on our people should be held responsible, should be held accountable by those same people. We have seen some forces who came and tried to lock down Bamenda in Bali, the buffaloes of Bali. I'm sending this message to the buffaloes of Bali. You cannot use unjustifiable punishment to our people that add to their punishment without any significant gains. You have seen clearly that our people have stand up with our policy and our guidelines to open community school across our territory. Your activity to try to lock them down is in line with the state of Cameroon. You are helping the Cameroon government inevitably. Or maybe without your knowledge, you are helping the Cameroon government. You are working for a Tanganji Paul. Those who put locks down in Ambazonia that are being advised at behind the scene by Atanganji Paul and his network that are embedded within our struggle are not fighting for Ambazonia, inevitably, unknowingly, you are working for the Cameroon state. We have seen the Cameroon government kidnapping teachers in GBHS at Tiela. CCTV footages have put Cameroon military carrying out such attacks. So Ambazonian groups that do not have a command and control, who do not listen to their political leadership. I had a meeting with a representative of the Seven Kata who guarantee us that the Seven Kata will not attempt to lock down or disrupt our community schools from going on. But we have seen a group of Seven Kata forces that have come into my fore and tried to carry out operation to disrupt our civilians. They have failed. So if you are a force on the ground and your activities is targeting our civilian population, not the Cameroon military, in an unjustifiable manner, you are working for the Cameroon government, not Ambazonia. Ultimately, we know that the chaos on the ground have been caused by the Cameroon occupation of Ambazonia, and that is the ultimate solution. Our people today have delivered a big defeat for La République du Cameroon, and Cameroon intelligence services have also been defeated as their lockdown have been rejected, and those who have used disproportionate force have committed crime against Ambazonia, and their actions do not represent our quest for independence, neither do it represent our liberation war. We will continue to reach out to all the other forces who do not have command and control, who have been disoriented by political scavengers within our struggle, who have been disoriented. At one time, when we created the Unity Warrior, they were say that they wanted unity. They call themselves unity. They want to call themselves unity warriors. Today, you have faceless individuals in Konengi coming up with the so-called Ground Zero Commander and Generals Forum. They are now, out of a sudden, they are there. They are running here and there like ashawos. It should stop. You deserve better, and you must act in accordance with practices that are reflective of the spirit of our people, the spirit of Ambazonia. So we thank you very much, Ground Zero. You should remember that the egg of C is on the ground. The Ambazonian Defense Forces is the force on the ground. Just like we always say, in Fako, the biggest force in Fako is the mountain lions. That does not mean that it is egoism or is we are promoting any group. We say the same thing about the Ambazonian Defense Forces. It is the biggest force on the ground. The only force with a command and control structure that is loyal and receive instructions from its political wing, the governing council, with the biggest presence in multiple states under the same command and control. Those are the facts on the ground, and you should take your cue from us. You should align yourself with us for an effective prosecution and the end of Cameroon rule and the complete decolonization of our territory. Thank you all. God bless you. Ciao.